Today I'd like to highlight a small passage from the Edfu Temple, just to demonstrate Ptolemaic hieroglyphic, the intricacies of it. And so what we're going to do is go to Edfu and go to the temple. So the temple is oriented to the cardinal directions. And so here you come in from the south to the pylon, the big gate. Here's the court, Paris style with the columns on the side, and then you enter to the pronaos, into the naos, which is the sacred space, the temple itself. And the whole complex is surrounded by the enclosure wall. And that's where the text is that I'm going to highlight today. So the enclosure wall has a north side, an east side, and a west side. The text in question is on the north side. So let's go and let me show you where this is exactly. So here's the expansion of the north wall, just to show you the schematic of the text. So the bulk of the text are in 3 registers. This is ground level here. A person standing here would roughly, the head of the person would roughly come up to about this level, and this being the ground. So you can see this is about 4 times the height of a person, something like maybe 30 feet tall, all the way to the top. And so here you have the 3 main registers of the enclosure wall. Here's the mythological text up here. The synopsis of the mythological texts are in this inscription band that runs across all 3 sides. So the west, north, and east wall, the interface, and then the synopsis of the first and second tier are roughly inscribed into this inscription band that runs here above the so-called cellar register. So this would be the underground soubassement, it's called in French. That was Emile Chastinat's designation. This is register 1, 2, and 3. Up here on the western half is the creation story, which I published English translation. The link to that paper is going to be in the description of this video, as well as Dr. Kurth's lecture in English, which I gave in October with him together. He wrote it, and I basically just read it off because he couldn't use his voice on that day, not too well anyway. So he asked me to read the lecture for him. So I'm going to add the link to that lecture also in the description of this video. And then I recorded a video reciting the text of the creation story, and I will also link that in the description. But today we're going to focus on this portion of the inscription band on the eastern side of the north wall. And so the eastern side of the north wall deals with the Hermopolitean Cosmogony. So the Hermopolitean, Hermopolis is the city of Thoth. That cosmogony has to do with the original forces of chaos. So it's basically the cosmic sea, the primordial sea, the darkness, invisibility, and eternity. Those are the principal forces of nature, and they're both represented by couples, frogs and snakes. So that's why there's 8 primordial forces at play, and out of those primordial forces is the creation of the sun. And so that's the Hermopolitean Cosmogony. And so I'm going to read this for you here, so you get a feel for how this was written in hieroglyphic, because it's obviously one of the most complicated texts to read in the Edfu text, because it deals with metaphysics. And so here's a nice way for you to get an introduction how Ptolemaic hieroglyphic was used to explain, such a complicated text. Anyway, so this is a summary of what I just said. Here's the soubassement, the cellar text. Here's the bandeau, which is the inscription band. Here's register 1, 2, and 3. Here's the frieze band. And so this is the top of the wall, and we're going to talk about the text that's written into this band here. The center of the north wall shows a mirror image of the sun of this is the holy triad of Horus, Hathor, and the sun, which is Herus Hammatawi. So this is Herus Hammatawi. You see two images of Herus Hammatawi back to back, and right here in the middle is where the center of the wall is, the north side, and the inscriptions run from that symbol, the Ankh sign, either to the left or to the right. So we're going to talk about this segment here that runs to the right, which is east. And here it is. And so let's start. So bear with me. I'm going to take my time. It's not easy to read this text. Of course, I'm leaning heavily on Dr. Kurth's expertise in Ptolemaic hieroglyphic. He's published all of these texts as an upgraded version after what Émile Chassinat transcribed for decades, the French Egyptologist. And you're looking at a black and white picture from Émile Chassinat. And but there were some mistakes in the transcription, and so the German Edfu Project began working on this in 1986, and even Dr. Kurth to this day is still finishing off the project, so it's taken him more than 30 years. The texts that are on the inside of the enclosure wall are contained in Edfu 6, published by Dieter Kurth, and he stuck with the nomenclature by Chassinat. So in Chassinat's volume series, 6 is also the texts that come from the inner side of the enclosure wall. So anyways, let's begin. So it starts with the Ankh sign. So long live, so if you wish, Horus. So here's the falcon. Here is the Ra sign. So Ra, Rachti, or Horus. This is a phonetic symbol. It stands for Seti. Seti. There's a phonetic complement to explain how you're supposed to say it. So Seta, T. Seti means, and then here's a context sign, the sun and the rays. So this means Horus who illuminates. And here's a nice example of visualization because the rays of the sun can be sort of thought of as arrows coming from the heaven. And that's why this particular way, this is actually an animal hide with a tail, and there's the arrow. So it doesn't have anything to do with either the animal tail or the hide, but it has to do, but the arrow does help to explain the concept. So it's basically the rays of the sun. So Horus who irradiates, if you wish, irradiates the two lands. So this is also an unusual way to spell Tawi. So Ta means land, Tawi means the two lands. The E is added as a phonetic complement. So Tawi, and this is a triliteral. So this is S, She, and Pe. There's a P to explain how this is supposed to be pronounced. So Seshep. So Seshep, Ayahu. Ayahu means the light giver or light donor. So Horus, who irradiates the two lands, the light donor. And here's a context sign that explains that the light donor is Horus himself. So there's Horus sitting with the wasp scepter in his hand and the sun above his head. And then we move on. So, and then here now it's the two ladies. The two ladies is this is a very old royal title. It's the second oldest of the royal titles. It represents Upper and Lower Egypt again. So the vulture is Lower Egypt, it's Upper Egypt, and the cobra is Lower Egypt, and they're sitting on these baskets, which means that they're the mistresses. So that's it's not just the animals, we're talking about the actual deities. So Mut and Wajet are the names of the two ladies. So we have the light giver, the life donor, we have the two mistresses, and then we have Horachti. So here's the two lands. Here's Horus, Horachti, Horus of the horizon, who gives birth. So here you see a woman, you see the head of the child with the two arms. So this is a word sign. It's a typical Ptolemaic hieroglyphic. So Messi normally wouldn't be spelled this way, but in Ptolemaic hieroglyphic, you can see this. So it's a word sign. So who gives birth to the gods, right? So here's plural. These are the gods. So it's referring to Orachti, who gives birth to the gods. Gerek Taui, who has founded the two lands. So here's again the land sign, land as a bar. Here it was here was written as the palm and the papyrus. But here is the more conventional spelling with the two bars. So there's a contextualization. It basically means the land and the Nile banks. And that explains that this is the two lands. So who founded the two lands? Horus of the Horuses. So he's the chief of the Horus gods. Khepri, which is the rising sun. The personification is the beetle is the rising sun. So Khepri, Rema unenut. So what that means is un means the rabbit and the n means un means to be. Unen means it's a more intensified being, means existing, and unut is a noun form of this. So it's that the things that existences, if you wish. So that which exists. So he creates that which exists. Then we have here a royal sign, a sign of royalty. Again, the king of Upper and Lower Egypt, Nesunbiti, the Ptah Tatenen. So Pth Ptah Tatenen. So Ptah is the creator god in the Memphite cosmogony. He's the mental god who intellectually conceives ideas and then utters them into existence, just like in Logos in Abrahamic religions. So Ptah literally means to part, and that has to do with the creation story where Ptah first appears when he splits the water, and then Tatenen is the land raiser who forms the primordial mount of creation. So Ptah Tatenen, it's a combined deity. So Nesunbiti, king of Upper and Lower Egypt, Ptah Tatenen, Iti Neteru, so means the father of the gods. So Ptah Tatenen is the father of the gods. And that's interesting parallel to the pyramid text. In the pyramid text, if you go into the antechamber and you look to the left up in the gable, you'll see at the bottom of the gable text, you see something that says Orion is the father of the gods. So it's an interesting parallel. 2,000 years later, we have Ptah Tatenen, the father of the gods. And in the old pyramid texts, it's Orion. Is there a possibility that that Ptah Tatenen was basically seen as something that is in the sky and that is in Orion, just like Osiris? It's possible. For example, Osiris later was merged with the Apis bull, and so was Ptah. So it's a possibility that the father of the gods in the beginning was seen as Orion, and then and that was then also associated with Ptah Tatenen. It's possible. I'm just mentioning it. And so going on now, so we have Ptah Tatenen, the father of the gods. Renef Mao. Mao means his true name is Ren. Is you say the empty cartouche means name. Ren. F his. Mao means true. So his true name is Ra Horus. Or you could say Ra Horachti. So that means that the identity of the creator, Ptah Tatenen, the father of the gods, his true name is actually Ra and Horus. And then it goes on, Chawi Heri Neset means appearing on the throne of the two gods. So it's referring basically to the king, Ptolemy the 10th, during whose reign this wall was inscribed. So Ptolemy X, I should interject real quick. I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video. So this, the Edfu Temple was built by the Ptolemies beginning, with Ptolemy II. But this particular part of the inscription mentions Ptolemy X. So Ptolemy X reigned from 107 BC to 88 BC, so 19 years. First with his mother Cleopatra III, and then later with his wife Bernice III. So when this was written, Ptolemy X was reigning, and in fact his coronation is on the third register. There's a coronation ceremony mentioned here. So that's where this is coming from. So the two, so Ra and Horachdi, those are the two gods that are sitting on the throne of the gods, and this means Menchui, the two potent ones. So that these two gods are the potent ones, the mighty ones. And moving on to this one here, what does that sign mean? This is this is also Cha, just like here. So Chawi means appear. So the two potent ones on the in the city of perfect appearance. So that's Edfu. It's an interesting way to describe Edfu, but it basically means that Edfu is the place on earth where the sky gods Ra and Horus appear. Now here, very interesting phrase. It says Ujet Tef, and here's a context sign, papyrus, meaning that this is a written decree. Uj means to command, to decree. Ujet means a decree. His F means his, so his decree, and it's a written decree. So his decree, M off, in his hand. So with the written decree in his hand, and then given to him his father. So that his father gave to him. Harry Secheper. So Harry Sepecher is a verb form that is late Egyptian. This is very often seen in Egyptian. You can sort of translate it with the imperfect in English. So is appearing. So with the decree in his hand, his father gave to him, he is creating people, Remtu. He is birthing or bearing the gods, Neteru. It's a different way to write the gods. And he is Rema, he is creating Unenet Neb. So all existence. Un means be, Unen means exist, and Unenet means existence, and Neb means all. So all that exists. All that exists, that here's another way to spell Rema. This is basically the same way, but it's a short form. And there, because it was written here, the reader can then immediately recognize that that means the same thing. It's just short for space saving. So that which he created in his heart. So this is typical now logos. So you have basically a written decree. The creation comes from the written word. Everything, the gods, the people, everything in existence created, that is created in his mind, in his heart is his mind, so this is logos in a nutshell. Just exactly what God in the Abrahamic religions, how he creates, he basically utters into existence everything, starting with the light, and then comes the world, and plants and animals and people. And so the first thing in Abrahamic religions that's created is light, and exactly the same thing happens here. in the Hermopolitean Cosmogony, because now we're going to talk about the lotus plant and what comes out of it. So this creation, since, Jer means since, ubeg means to rise, to lift, and this is in the context of the lotus. So the ucha is the stem of the lotus. So since the stem in the necheb is the lotus bud, so the stem in the lotus bud arises or blossoms, you could say, since the stem in the lotus bud blossoms from metut means the seed. So here's the phallus, here's what comes out of it, the semen. This is ejection. So basically this means seed. From the seed of Nu. Nu is the cosmic sea, the male the male half of the cosmic sea, Nut being the sky goddess. So from the seed of Nu, the Hermopolitean force of chaos, which is the sea, the cosmic sea, comes this lotus, and it rises out of the sea with the lotus bud. And then it says Heri Tua. So it's lifting up the stem, the lotus stem is lifting up that which Nu, that which, and then this is a typical Ptolemaic riddle. It's, this is no way, if you know hieroglyphic, you won't be able to read this, even though it's pretty simple, but in Ptolemaic hieroglyphic, this means Irai. Normally, you would just use one symbol, but here there's three of them. I don't know why, but Irai is that which is made. So it's so from the seed of Nu, it is lifting that which is made in, M means in, that which is made in BNN, benen, and the egg sign. So that which is made in the egg. And now we have here that which is made in the egg that is concealed. You could read this, shetat, that's what this is supposed to mean. Here's the goddess shetat, and there is the goddess Geret. So these are basically, you can think of these as the petals of the lotus that are concealing, when it's still a bud, what's inside. So it's the egg basically, and or the egg yolk. If you think of a lotus flower that has a yellow center and it's surrounded by the petals, when it's still closed, the egg yolk is still covered. It's concealed, and it's concealed by these two female natures, basically. So shetat, she that enshrouds, and Geret, the snake. And they are peshereti, means they are surrounding it. And that was too quick. Let me go back. They are, yeah. So they are pesher. So that which is made inside of the egg, enshrouded by the two, by shetat and geret, around it. Half means around it. So they are basically surrounding that which is inside, and the inside is the egg from the primordial seed of Nu. And then Heri Besa means they are protecting. Besa means to protect. It's one way to say protect. Heri Besa. And what are they protecting? The child. So this is scratched out, but this is the child sign. So they are protecting the child of Tatinen. So then it continues on. Then we see Peta. It's a different way. So, and here's the moment sign. So this is the head of a crocodile. It means at. So the moment of parting or opening. Sehet sehet or shehet is egg again. Here's the egg sign. So the moment of opening the egg, kefi, kefisen, so they cover. So the moment, what am I say? The moment of parting, the moment, I just lost it just a second. So it is the moment of parting the egg, that which is covered, kefi means you can say covered, that's that which they cover, em gentes, em gentes, em shenu, and necheb. So basically that's what they're covering is revealed. What's inside, shenu means inside of the lotus bud. And shenu, interestingly here, this is also, again, it's a Ptolemaic symbol, now showing, here's the sign shenu inside, but inside of what? Well, here, all of a sudden, it's not an egg, but it's the enclosure wall. So the enclosure wall, therefore, of the Edfu Temple is a symbol of that which is surrounding the egg yolk, which is the eggshell. So it's the protective covering for the seed of Nu, which is the young child, which represents the sun child. And off Necheb is the lotus bud. Okay, and which is now who is this child? Well, it is Horus, Sephi. So Horus as the child. Sephi is another way to say child. Sephi, Aimai Ut, who is in between, within Aimai Ut, the two ladies, right? So the two ladies are the deities that are enshrouding the child, the young son. And then here, Hof means, this is a sign for meat, but it means in this case his being, his essence, his being, his being. So what is he? This child is, his being is Khepri, Ptah, and Ra. So all three together, that's his that's the essence of his being. So Khepri, Ptah, and did I say Ra? Yeah, and Ra. This is Sha'o. It means who begins his creative work. Remaf means his creation. So what you can tell from this is that just like in Abrahamic Genesis, the first thing that's created is light. In the Hermopolitean Cosmogony, the light comes from the cosmic sea in the form of a lotus bud that is protected by the two goddesses. They open up they are the petals, if you wish. They open up and reveal an egg, and within that egg, when the egg opens, is the young sun as it is rising into the cosmic sea. And now you have light. Then it continues, sesh, this is zesh, cher, which means zesh cher is so you can think of it as passing. So zesh cher means passes, iref or we. This means sleep with respect to it. So what it basically, so that now that has passed with respect to itself, his the sleep. So the of the net necheb means, so the lotus has opened up, so it was asleep while it was in the cosmic sea, and when it rises up, it wakes up, basically. That's what this means. So now now that has passed the sleep of the lotus, here's a peculiarity again, Ptolemaic hieroglyphic. There's actually the hand sign, which stands for D, but this still is pronounced net. So in Ptolemaic hieroglyphic, T and D and J, they all start to merge, and that presents a difficulty later. That is a difficulty in transcribing and understanding these texts, because If you don't know that, then you're going to read this as Ned and you have no idea what it means. But if you know that they started to merge these sounds, then you begin to understand that this is supposed to be read as T and not as D. And of course, they sound similar. So this stands for off, net off the lotus. So the Au net nechep means to sleep off the lotus has passed. And what happens? Perai unai. So out comes the light. So here now the light is created. It's an interesting way to write outcomes or comes forth. And of course, there's the sun disk with the wing. And so the young child sun is now basically rising up out of the lotus. And it is as if it has wings. And that's why they chose this way to spell this word unai. So I'm sorry, perai. So perai is usually spelled with a half house and a snake coming out of it, perai, for example. But in this case, it's spelled with this wing and the sun disk. So out and comes forth the light and imef, which means within it, from unu, which is the child. So the light, so that the child sun presents the first ray of light into the cosmic darkness. Very poetic. And we're almost at the end now. So and now here's a description of the child. So it says Neserenef, which means it glows or it illuminates. Chetnep means everything. So it illuminates everything. Hauf means in its surroundings. So everything around it becomes illuminated from it. Achetiv means so this is also a different way. In Old Egyptian, this would be read uben, for example. But in Ptolemaic, one way to read this is ach and acheti to two. So these are the two glowing eyes, basically. There's the fire sign. So the horse, the young sun child illuminates everything around it with his two glowing eyes. That's what this means. His two fiery eyes from the island of fire. So the island of fire is therefore the first terrestrial matter in existence in Hermopolitean creation. So on the island of fire, we have the lotus that has opened and has released the sun, and that's where the sun is now residing on the island of fire, illuminating everything around it. And so then the rest of this north wall inscription band says, may be given renet. Renet means strength. Renet means all strength. May all strength be given to the Nesunbit means king of Upper and Lower Egypt. And then this is the cartouche of Ptolemy X. This is his throne name. And that's it. Now, just for clarification, so the text continues on the east wall. It goes all the way down the east wall, and it basically on the east side, we're dealing with the mythology of Hermopolis. On the west side, we're dealing with the cosmogony of Memphis, which has to do with Ptah, Tatanen, and that's where the creation stories that I mentioned earlier. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.